was joking earlier saying that they might need change after one show match, but yeah, the reason I wanted to do this now, today, is because I'm going to try and stream a lot of show matches before the Christmas and New Year break that I'll be taking, and I want to get this ranking done before then, because it seems like a clean, clear time to be doing it. No better time to do it than right after a massive influx of ones tournament. I think 7 or 8 ones tournaments all in the last month. So this seems like a good place to document it. So yeah, I've looked at pretty much all the results, and I've combined that with my own where I had players ranked about 6 months ago. Looked at the results for the last 6 months. I did this around about 6 months ago. Actually, when did I do my last? Let's look at my 1v1 tier list. It was like 5 months ago. See, I pretty much looked at the results since I did that, and that's what I'm basing this off. So before we start with the actual top 25, the number 25 player, I have 5 honorable mentions, and they're all honorable mentions for a similar reason. Similar reasons. First honorable mention is Gom. He's been very active recently. He's had one big show match win over Raziers, and a lot of other very respectable series. But not enough to break into the top 25 yet. But I did want to mention him because he did beat Raziers, which is very impressive. Another one, Revzy, 1v1 legend. Kind of inactive for a bit, then came back and beat Naupo in one series. Again, not much to go off, so I couldn't get him in the list. Another honorable mention that might surprise a few people is Durali. Durali took a big break. Then he came back, he beat Jorius one time, and then lost to a bunch of people. So I have no idea where to rank Durali right now. Not putting him in the top 25. Another one is Card. Now, Card is an honorable mention because he's probably in the top 25, realistically. Probably is, based on the ability that I've seen from him. He also beat Raziers in a very impressive 1v1 match between the two players. But yeah, just not enough info to go off for Card. But based on based on what I see from him, the ability, he's probably top 25. But yeah, we just need to see more matches to know where. Lastly, I'm going to put Dark as an honorable mention, just because I know people are going to be speculating, where's Dark? Where's Dark? How's Johnny got Dark so high? I don't have Dark as a top 25 player right now. Again, he has also beaten Jarius recently in a one show match on Fear's channel. However, he's had lots of losses as well. So I think Dark will be a top 25 player and has potential to go much higher than that, but not yet. Not quite yet. So let's just jump into 25. It's a player who's just hanging on to top 25 status. I had him higher ranked last time we did this, but he slipped down due to inactivity. However, he has one big win that, was in the last 6 months. And that's Oski. He's got one win against a player that I've got top 10. I won't say who it is because that'll spoil my top 10, but he does have one win against a player I've got in my top 10. That quality win is a better quality win than the other 5 honorable mentions I just mentioned. So yeah, they've all got one big win in the last 6 months, including Oski. He's slid down due to inactivity, but he has got a big win. If you go back further than that, he's got lots of big wins. But in the last 6 months since I last did this, he's only got one. Big show match win. You can see it there. We've got the show match record, the tournament record, best of one record. That's to separate Gamers 8 and the world show matches from everything else. As well as that record versus the top 10 and top 25 players. So yeah, overall not that active. Moved him down since last time we did this. But yeah, he just stays in because his one win that he's got on a top player is a better one win than the 5 players I just mentioned, who also have one win each. on a top 10, or not even a top 10 player, but a top 25 player. The effort, I did a lot for this. Probably didn't need to do all this. Probably could have just told you guys number 25 Oski and then not even explained it. But yeah, that's why. Yeah, when I say record versus top 25, what that means is the 11 to 25. I didn't have enough space on the screen to write that, but the show match record includes 1v1 show matches. Tournament record includes tournaments like Turf Wars, all the tournaments that have recently happened on my channel and Fear's channel. And the best of one record, of course includes Gamers 8, and the world's RLCS World Championship show matches. That's all best of 1, high profile best of 1. Record versus top 10, pretty simple. What is your series win-loss against players I've got in my top 10? And then record versus top 25 is your series win-loss against players ranked 11th to 25 on my list. So any matches, anyone who I don't have top 25, I didn't include the results on these stats, because then I didn't know where to stop. Like, you've got to draw the line somewhere at what is a relevant win. At some point, like, the skill difference is just not, it's just too big. You just start to players would be stat padding too much. But okay, that's number 25, Oski from England. And number 24, a fairly new addition to the one scene. He's, I think, going to keep rising if he keeps playing, but he's already in my top 25. That is Zapatos 24. Didn't get a picture of him, but yeah, he I think he did it. He was a turf war, so you can see what he looks like there if you want to watch. Yeah, Oski's half Polish, half English. So Zapatos, I've got him 24. His overall record is worse than Oski's, but he's been more active, so it's not that surprising. Also, his record versus the top 10, you'll see that's where he's picked up 5 of his losses are against top 10 players. He's actually 3 and 4 against top 25 players. But those top 25 players are, some of my lower rated top 25 players. And yeah, his tournament record is not that good. So I do care more about tournaments than show matches, just for the, for your information. So his tournament record is not the best. That's one of the reasons I've ranked him quite low compared to others they're going to be above him. But I think Zapatos is a very interesting player. He's a very talented player, very unique player. And I think he can definitely get higher than this. Okay, let's continue. 23. I've got Nas at 23. Nas from Morocco. The show match record and the tournament record for him both have 1 win each. And yeah, you'll see he's also yet to defeat a top 10 player for my list, but he's got a couple wins. He's 2 and 4. That I just realized that overall record doesn't add up. There's a win missing there somewhere from the top 25. I think it's supposed to say 2 and 25, 2 and 5 there for his record versus top 25 players. I could go and check that actually. I can't reveal my big spreadsheet, my master sheet that I've got for all this. Otherwise, everything will be spoiled. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I just forgot to count something here. Yeah, so it's supposed to say 2 and 5 for his record versus top 25 players. He hasn't beaten any top 10 players yet. But yeah, Nas actually has a lot of wins against players who I don't rate that highly, who I don't have in my top 25 or even in my honorable mentions. In fact, I think he did beat Dark, who I've said is an honorable mention for my list. But yeah, I don't really look too much into those results because, players who are just making a start on show match, getting their start in show match experience and are ranked pretty low in the competitive ones world shouldn't be a challenge for a top 25 players. So it's a given that you should be beating them, except the ones just outside, of course. But yeah, I think Nas is also just like Zapatos, a player who can't climb. He's got a recent win over Clears in my Pro Drops tournament. That's a pretty big one for him. This is just a right now top 25 list, not an all-time top 25 list. But yeah, I mentioned someone that Nas recently beat there, and that is a perfect moment to also mention that I will not be flipping players because of a head-to-head. I care more about the overall. If that's the only thing that differentiates them, sure, but I care more about the overall stats, and this is a perfect time to talk about that because my number 22 is Clears. You'll see that his overall record is actually a lot better than Nas, and he's got some green in there as well, just like Oski did. His record versus top 25, so players in the 11th to 25th range of my list, is positive, but he also has not beaten a top 10 player. So no one yet, at least I think no one that I've listed yet has beaten a top 10 player in the last 6 months, except Oski. But that's pretty much all he did. But yeah, I'm putting Clears at 22 because he's not been as active as some of the other players that have ranked just slightly above him. I think Clears could be higher. He's definitely got the ability to be much higher than this. But yeah, he's not played that many games compared to some of the guys in the middle of the table that I've got. And then the top guys are out of Clear's reach for now. So yeah, limited activity. He is 3-2 against top 25 players. But I think you'll see that, yeah, it's a pretty stacked list. It's a pretty stacked list. Now, I've got a bit of a possibly a controversial one up next. I don't think it's too controversial, but you guys might think it's controversial when you see the colors of all of the records on the right side of the screen. Well, let's get into this one. It's CRR. Yeah, I know Killers beat TRK, but that was months ago. That was ages ago. Anyway, CRR I've got at number 21. Look at that beautiful maroon that he's got all the way down the right side of the screen. Absolutely gorgeous. This guy is just losing to everyone. But no, jokes aside, his record is tainted massively because he is so active against players in my top 10. He has played 10 series against players in my top 10 in the last 6 months, and he's lost 8 of them. So he's super active. Against the rest of my top 25, he's 3-5, which is actually a bit worse than he usually performs. Usually he performs a bit higher than that. So I have dropped CRR down from where I had him before. I had him higher on my list the last time we did this. I had players like Nas and Zapatos not even in my top 25. They're moving up. Oski and CRR moving down. Oski due to inactivity, CRR because he is losing to players around about him. But yeah, he's been really active against my top 10, and I don't really think that's a bad thing. I'm not going to punish him for having a 2-8 record. Yeah, it looks like I've got the overall record wrong again though, because yeah, 8-5 do not in fact make 12. 8-5 do not make 12. If there are any mistakes in this, you can blame me. I probably botched it on a spreadsheet because I made all this in a spreadsheet and I might have just clicked on the wrong square. It was all added up, adding up multiple cells. I might have just clicked on the wrong square there. Is it purely based on stats or is it based on my own judgment? Well, clearly it's not purely based on stats. Otherwise, a player like Kaliers with much better stats would be above a player like CRR. But I think, CRR, he used to be, pushing 15th, top 10. Definitely getting close because his tournament record was very good. Maybe a year and a half ago. I can't remember exactly when all those tournaments were happening. Probably it must have been about a year ago that there was a bunch of ones tournaments on both mine and Fear's channels. CRR was a tournament demon, and I do rate tournament performances above anything else. So I've dropped him down. He's outside the top 20, but he's still a very talented player. He did also, it's worth mentioning, have that best of one win over First Killer. That best of one record, the 1 and 2 that you see there, his win was the famous First Killer win at Gamers 8. So yeah, pretty big one there. Pretty big one for Guild at the time. But okay, let's get into the top 20. Let's just move along here to my 20th best player, and I think this one might surprise you guys as well. But you've also got to remember, well, yeah, this guy did just play a show match today. Would it be enough to move him up? Let's find out. But yeah, I've got Naupo at number 20. I've got him just breaking into the top 20 here. Now he also could be higher. However, yeah, negative records on most of the stats here. He's 2-3 against the players ranked 11th to 25th on my list. So the players around him, he's actually got a losing record against him in the last 6 months. And he's 1-5 against my top 10 in the last 6 months. So he's actually not got the best results. I think Naupo's playstyle is so dominating, and the way, I don't know, his performances are just so entertaining that people kind of brush his losses under the rug and they say, whatever, yeah, but he actually would have won that if he was trying, and this, that, and the next thing. He is a very, very good player. And he did, yeah, today he beat Joria's. Would that rank him any higher if I'd included? I didn't include that Joria's win over here. Otherwise, it would say record versus top 10, 2 and 5. That shouldn't really be a spoiler because I think most people would have Joria's top 10. If that's a spoiler, then I'm sorry. But I don't think that would change where I put him. I'm looking at my next guy. I don't think it would. But yeah, this guy, JohnnyBoi, could go higher. I think he lacks discipline in show matches. You'll see he's got a show match record of 2 and 6 in the last 6 months. Tournaments, he really got a little bit, I think, a little bit more focused, because that tournament record was against the players in my top 25. The players in my top 25 that he faced in pro drops. He had a win against Nas, and he had 2 losses to Rawas. That's what his 1 and 2 is there. So yeah, the results that you're seeing on your screen, all the numbers are only the last 6 months. Only the last 6 months, because beyond that, you know, it starts to get a little bit outdated, I'd say. Like, even 6 months is like, I think that's the max. Like, I usually look at 3 months as like the very, well, you know, what just happened is the most accurate. Then 3 months is pretty accurate as well. 6 months is like the farthest you can go. 9 months to a year. Okay, if you're like ranking, you know, achievements and like you know, who had the best year, absolutely. But 9 months in Rocket League is a really long time, especially in 1v1. So 6, I just limited myself to 6 months because that's the last time I did a list like this, or the last time I did research for a tier list like this. But okay, let's move on to number 19. You guys can decide should JohnnyBoi be above this dude. I'm gonna put him at 19 for now because I have been impressed with him. It's Atto. He's super recent addition to the one scene. He basically came out of nowhere, but already looked like he knew what he was doing. He beat Raziers in his debut. Then he recently beat Joria's in my Pro Drops tournament as well. Raziers got his revenge on him in a close 2-3 loss, and Toxic got revenge, also beat him in a close 2-3 loss. Atto's not had a bad series. He hasn't. He's looked good every time I've seen him play. JohnnyBoi, I've seen him, you know, throw quite a few times. So I rank Atto. I really rate Atto very highly. I think that he'd be a good match for absolutely anybody. I think he'd be a good match for anybody. If you don't believe me, go watch any of the 4 matches he's played recently, because all of his matches that he's ever played for once have been recent, and they've all been good. Actually, well, I think he played 5 because he also beat a Chronic, but I didn't include that one in this. But yeah, Atto JohnnyBoi show match, would love to see that. That would be a really, really cool one. Do you guys not think that would be a great match? Do you guys who've watched both of them play? That would be a really good match. I think that would be a super interesting match. But yeah, that's something I'm gonna try and do based on this list as well. Because like I said, gonna try and do a lot of show matches in the coming week. So I'm gonna look at this list and try and see who I can get, what players are right next to each other can I get that want to match up against each other, or players that are close at least. But yeah, Atto, it's not just the fact that he's beaten 2 quality players in Raziers and Joria's, but his 2 losses have also been they've been 3-2 losses. They've been close, so not had a bad series yet. I really rate that consistency. It's all very recent as well. This is recent evidence that this guy's in good form. But okay, let's move on to number 18. Some of the less impressive record in percentages, but much more active recently. That is Chronic. We've got the double flag set up here. Genuinely, it's the only photo I could find of him. That's the meme photo of Chronic. Somebody was explaining to me the other day, was he born in England? I thought this was just a total meme because he's playing with 2 English players, but was he actually born in England? Is that true? Maybe it is. Yeah, Chronic's got a lot of very impressive wins in the past 6 months. A lot of very impressive wins. He has, on my channel, beaten both Daniel and AJ in show matches. Both of them. In the past 6 months. So, you know, that show match record might not be the best. It's 3 and 6, but those wins are really, really good wins. And yeah, he's He's also beaten Zapatos. One of his losses is to Jack. Actually, 2 of his losses are to Jack, and 1 of his losses are to Yan. So you know he's got quality losses as well. He's 3-4 against players in the 11th to 25th range, which is exactly where he averages. So it makes sense that he's going roughly even in that range. Interestingly enough, his best of 1 record being 1-1, both against the same player. Can anyone in chat guess or remember who that is? Who has Chronic best of 1 in the past 6 months and gone 1-1 with in 2 different best of 1s? Well, it wasn't best of 1. It was actually part of a series. Appjack, no. I did actually put Appjack, Nolly, and Chronic's series that they played against each other as a show match win for Jack 3-2 because they played each other 5 times and Jack won 3 of them. But the guy that Chronic has played in 1 game, it wasn't. I might have like led you guys down the wrong trail here by saying what I've said. But it's Razebull. Chronic and Razebull both beat each other once in the qualifiers for Gamers 8. Once each. So yeah, that's what I mean when I say best of 1. They played 1v1 game. Like a crew battle kind of is just, you know, 5 best of 1s of a different game modes. So yeah, sorry if that confused you guys. Yeah, it's Razebull. Yeah, Chronic's a lot of maroon there, a lot of red, but actually he's got some quality wins mixed in there, which is why I wanted to bring them up for you. Okay, another player who's like on a slightly downward trend, well, you know, definitely trending downwards, but needs to have these stats explained, is Luis. I've got Luis at 17. I've had this guy like pushing top 10 before in the world, so he's definitely fallen off a little bit. Not the most active, as you can see, he only played 6 matches in the last 6 months. But yeah, look at his record versus top 10. He's 0-4 against the top 10. Let me tell you who those players are that he's played. He has played Khaled. He lost 3-2. And yeah, I'll only tell you players that are obviously top 10. You guys aren't going to be surprised. Jarius, he lost 3-2. I'll say more players actually that you guys can guess. Okay, I'll say another one. You guys will definitely know those top 10. Moxie, he lost 3-2. He's got so many 3-2 losses. Luis just can't get game 5 against top 10 players. He's just there or thereabouts in every match. I think he's been swept once, but he's always there or thereabouts, and he just can't. He just can't get the game 5 win. Yeah, like I said, I used to have him like getting close to top 10, but never got there. And now inactivity's got him falling down. But yeah, his record versus players his own rank is still even, so he's not fallen too far. Okay, let's get some more green. Let's get some green on the screen as we go to number 16 with green. And so yeah, sorry if those are spoilers for some of you, but I felt like those names would be fairly obvious. I did stop myself from saying a couple more that might be not obvious. Okay, let's get some green on the screen. It's Evo at 16th. He's got a positive show match record. He's got a positive record against the players ranked 11th to 25th in my list. His record versus the top 10, not the best. His tournament record is negative, but very good show match player. He's actually taken down Chronic twice in show matches in the last 6 months. He's beaten Toxic as well. He's beaten KV1, albeit, you know, KV1 playing on really high ping as usual. So yeah, Evo's had a very impressive 6 months. But yeah, tournament. If he had done a little bit better in tournaments, you know, I think he probably could have gone further in Turf Wars. He lost to Razebull in Turf Wars, I think. Or did he lose to Razebull? I think he did. And yeah, he probably could have gone further in Fear's tournament as well, because he no-showed. So definitely could have gone further there. Definitely could have gone further there. Or he lost to AJ in Turf Wars. Yeah, he definitely could have made a better run there. I think he kind of messed up a little bit. Yeah, he did also get 5-0'd by Napo, which ended in a 4-1 score, but still 5-0. But yeah, a lot of you guys seem really salty about Naupo's rank. I want to remind you that the last time I did a tier list, I think I had both Naupo and Evo in the same tier. I'm gonna just check really quickly. Yeah, I did. I had Evo ranked higher than Naupo when I did a tier list almost 6 months ago, and then since then Naupo has gone 3-8 in matches against players in my top 25, and Evo has gone 6-7. So how has Evo suddenly dropped way below Naupo just because Naupo beats him 5-0 one time? Like, yeah, that's a great win for Naupo, but he also had a lot of losses. And I think Naupo is a player who doesn't really play up to his potential because I don't know why. Maybe he just doesn't focus up as much as other players, which is a bad thing, by the way. It's something you should rank players lower for. Thank you, by the way, to Dirty Wizard Dog for the 4-month prime, and also Austin 6189 or 61898 the 30-month prime. Appreciate you. But let's move into the top 15. Let's get into the top 15. Got triple green, I believe, for the first time. Is this the first time we've seen triple green? Beautiful. Positive overall record. Raise Bull 15th. Only thing stopping him from going higher is the fact that some of his wins that he's got against top 10 players are a while ago, and further ago in this 6-month window, I rate the closer results more, and he actually didn't play in any of the recent tournaments. The tournament record there is from Turf Wars, not from any of the online tournaments. If he had played in those, I think he would have done really well, and then I would rank him higher. But yeah, I rate recent tournaments very highly. He didn't play in them. But yeah, loads of best of ones. This guy played 2 best of ones against Chronic, went 1-1. 2 best of ones against Daniel, went 1-1. He also beat I think CRR in a best of one, and then he lost to Jan in a best of one. So he's 3-3 in the best of one record. Not many players have this many best of ones played, but yeah, that actually makes up almost half of his overall record. He's not the most active player. I think if he'd played the recent tournaments, he would have done well, and I would have probably ranked him higher. I would have definitely ranked him higher as a result, but 15th is pretty good for now. But okay, 14. Let's get rid of the green entirely. We don't need any green numbers on the screen. Yellow and red only for Toxic, who is 3-3 in tournaments, 2-3 in show matches. So just slightly on the other side of the overall record. But like I said, I rate recent tournaments more than a Turf Wars for Raise Bull that's a while ago, which he went 1-2 in against my top 25 players. Toxic recently made grand finals in one of my tournaments, and he's been around about this range already, so I think this is a good place to have him. He's kind of just held his own. He's held his kind of spot. Maybe even moved up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe moved up. Some of you... Yeah, I think actually he's moved up since last time I did this, for sure. Because yeah, he's just very, very solid. He's just almost bang on even in the stats, which makes sense because he's almost in the middle. There's 25 players here that I've looked at all the results between them. It makes sense that the guy 14th is just slightly negative there. But yeah, some of the guys at the top are really stacked with the win-loss. They're kind of stealing it away from everybody else, leaving negative overall records for a lot of people. But yeah, Toxic, very, very consistent. Number 14. I don't think anybody's going to complain about that one. So let's get into number 13. Unlucky for some, but not for this guy. It is Lion Blaze, who is positive tournament record. Most of that thanks to Turf Wars, which he was victorious in. But that's actually really, really good because he beat AJ twice to do that. So that's a really good result. Yeah, apart from that, he's gone negative in show matches, negative in other tournaments. But I think that Turf Wars victory, winning a LAN in ones, is enough to like hold him kind of middle of the list. Middle of my top 25. But yeah, like I said, if we did this like right after Turf Wars, he'd be top 10 for sure. Since then, I think, what was his Turf Wars record? Let me just very quickly check for you guys, because I've got it here on my second monitor. Yeah, his Turf Wars record was 3-0 against players in my top 25. Beat AJ twice, beat Zapatos once. I think he also beat Com, but I don't have Com in my top 25, so that's not included. So other than that, he's 2-6. Ignoring his Turf Wars results, the last 6 months have not been good for Lion Blaze. That's why he's not higher. A lot of you guys saying he should be higher, he should be higher. Actually, no, because he's gone 2-6 apart from Turf Wars. But Turf Wars is still worth something, especially for the guy who won it all. You know, for the guys who are like fighting for the lower spots, not worth as much. For the guy who won it, beating AJ twice, those are big wins. It's a good job by him. But okay, let's go back to some more green in the overall record. For we're getting very serious now. We're getting very serious. This is encroaching on top 10 territory. So let's find out who's just missed out, in my opinion, on the top 10. It's Razier's at number 12. And the reason I can't put him in the top 10 is because look at that record versus my top 10 in the last 6 months. 1-5 against my top 10 in the last 6 months. He's 6-1 against players ranked 11th to 25 in the last 6 months. So it only makes sense that he's going to be around here, right? Because he doesn't have the best record against players in my top 10. My top 10 is just it's unbelievably stacked. So that's why you can't say he should be 10th if you look at these, stats. He's 1-5 against top 10. He's 6-1 against top 25. Like rest of the top 25, I should say. Didn't have enough space to type that, but that's what it means. Yeah, that's where Razier's has kind of been lacking. Did he play in Fear's tournament? I don't think he did. Did he? He didn't play in Fear's one's tournament. That would have been a chance for him to get some more wins on the board. Maybe sneak into the top 10. I don't think he played in it. He didn't play in Fear's one's tournament. He played in my one. But not Fear's one, I think. Which kind of like opportunity missed there. I have to take that into account. Okay. Are you guys ready for number 11? The guy who just barely doesn't get top 10. It's actually so sad. I really wanted to put 11 or 12 players in my top 10. Razier's, I was like thinking he might be top 10. Then I saw the stats. I was like, okay, maybe not. This guy, even after seeing the stats, it still hurts to see him outside of the top 10. It just is. It's me. I guess we'll have to find out. Thank you, first of all, to Xeon2112 for the 4-month tier 1. Welcome back to the channel. At number 11, just missing out on top 10, is KV1. And I didn't expect this when I got started making this list. I thought he was going to be top 10 easy. Then I looked at the results. I was like, wait, those aren't that great, actually. Wait, the last 6 months haven't been that great for KV1. He's kind of been losing. He's 2-3 against the top 10. He's 1-2 against players outside of the top 10, but still top 25. And he's not really been active either. As you can see, he's only played 8 matches. So, not the most active time period for KV1, or the best results for him. But also, it is worth mentioning, it's so hard to rank him because he plays with such high ping that I don't know how much I should compensate his rank because of the ping. He was in my top 10 last time I did this, so I've dropped him out because he's not been active and the results haven't been fantastic. But if he was just in North America or in Europe on a good server with low ping, it's almost definite that he would be in the top 10. But he just hasn't had the results, and I feel like his motivation might be getting sucked away from him. Because imagine having to play with 140 ping, 130 ping every time. KV1 is the guy that you beat in the tournament. He's also a player, AJ, who just finished top 4 at the Rotterdam Majors. You should probably know who this guy is. He just got defensive MVP at the Rotterdam Major. How are you asking who is this guy? Is he the guy I swept in the tourney? What do you mean? Is that the guy? He just got defensive MVP at the Rotterdam Major. He's pretty freaking good. But he's also really good at ones, but he's got so much ping that he's not been active. And I think, you know, looking at all the other players, I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna have to take him out. You don't watch Sam? You don't watch Sam? I think you should watch Sam. Sam top 4 are worth watching. I would recommend, especially at majors. The Sam games are really entertaining. They actually KV1's Team Secret played very defensively, but the club are ridiculous. They're just super offensive. If you weren't asleep, you were watching. Yeah, time zone wasn't the best. Time zone was not the best. But okay, let's get into the top 10. And first of all, reveal one that might shock a lot of you. But I didn't think I was going to put this guy this low either until I saw the numbers. And I was like, wait, what is going on here? What happened in this guy's matchups against other players in my top 10? It's FairJame. In the last 6 months, he's won 1 series against my top 10. And he's lost 6. He's 1-6. Now, this means this does go back long enough to include losses like his show match loss to Daniel, his show match loss to FairJame at Worlds. But even beyond that, he's had like losses to Jack. He went 1 and well, he beat AJ once and he lost to AJ once in Fear's tournament. What were the other top 10 matches? I'm trying to find them for you guys. Where are they? Yeah, then he lost to Roas as well, of course. Twice, I believe. So yeah, not the best results against the top 10. One of the he's also got 2 best of 1s on his record that didn't go well. I think they were against CRR and Roas, if I remember correctly. So he just doesn't have the results against players in the top 10 for me to put him any higher. I put him above KV1 into the top 10 because he has been active, and because KV1 doesn't have a great record against players in the top 10 or outside of the top 10. At least FairJame's got a good record against players outside of the top 10. He's 3-1 against players outside of the top 10. So I felt like, okay, if his record's bad against players in the top 10 but good against players outside, he's probably got to be bottom end of the top 10. That's why I put him here. But yeah, the one win that he did get was a pretty big one. It was a good win, 4-0 on AJ, which at this point will definitely not be a spoiler. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. But yeah, I was surprised. I didn't realize it had gone that badly for FairJame in the past 6 months till I looked at the numbers and I remembered it all. I was like, wait, yeah, he has lost a lot to the other top tier players. But yeah, think about if the Appjack series, if he just won Fear's One's tournament, if he just won the grand final over Appjack, he'd be higher. Obviously, that's one game, he'd be higher, but he didn't, so he's here. Jack said he's the best ones player in the world. Why do I have him so low? What did Jack say that when he was playing ranked against him or something? Like, he's got to do it in show matches and tournaments. He's got to do it in show matches tournaments to get the ranking. I think do I have to tell you that FairJame's potential is much higher than this? Maybe I do. Maybe that's not obvious. But yeah, FairJame's potential is much higher than 10th. It is. He is a player who has the ability to contend for best in the world in ones. But just right now, the results don't show that, so I've got to put him down here. Let's continue. Let's go to number 9. Number 9 also might be surprising, because I've found upon looking at the stats that this guy's also struggled against top 10 players, but has a better record than FairJame against players outside of the top 10. It's JohnnyBoi. JohnnyBoi is, in the past 6 months, he's 2 wins and 8 losses in series against players in my top 10. 2 series wins and 8 series losses. So FairJame and JohnnyBoi, I didn't realize neither of them have got good records against players in my top 10. at the moment, so I have to reflect that in my rankings. But he's gone 8-3 against players outside of my top 10, which is better than First Killer's 3-1. So I'm putting him above First Killer. And he did recently win my tournament, of course, that I ran alongside Pro Drops in EU. So yeah, I thought when I was like, you know, making this list in my head that I'd have both these guys lower, but then when I saw this, I was kind of surprised. I have to abide by that. I'm definitely a stats guy. I think for ones, the stats are even more important than in threes. I do use stats to, you know, set the foundation for my ranks and my ranking in threes, and then make quite a lot of adjustments. Because there aren't really that many good advanced stats in threes. But for ones, the results are pretty simple. You know, if player A beats player B, there's no questions about who the best player was in that match. Whereas, you know, if team A beats team B, maybe the best player in the match was on team B. It's just that he had the two worst players in the match on his team. So it's a lot harder to just look at the results and know who the best player was. Not that hard in ones. AJ says, I predicted I was 8. Please let me be 8. Why did you predict you were 8? What happened? Where did I miss this? Did you just like throw out a number that you think you are right now? Is that what you were kind of hoping for? Is that like in your head what you genuinely think? What's going on here, AJ? Thank you, by the way, to King Spectre with this 71 month tier 1. That's absurd. You're 1 month from the eggplant. Oh, true. Gonna need new badges soon. Oh my goodness, we are. It's kind of crazy, actually. Yeah, I don't know if AJ's. He says you messaged a friend saying that I think I should be 8th, and then I said I'm probably 11th because you love me. Why do you think I would put you 11th? Why do you think I? It's not like I hate KV1, who is 11th, but like obviously you thought I was gonna put you 11th just out of bias or something. I'm not biased, and it's so good that I have graphics today. Otherwise, this would be sus. If I just said it, you'd be like, nah, you only said that because AJ's in chat. But we've got the graphics, so there is no way that I could have faked this. AJ's 8th. He's right. He also doesn't have the best record against the top 10, but it's better than Jory's and First Killers. It's trending to the right direction. 3-7 in the last 10 months. Last 6 months, I mean, 3-7 in the last 6 months against players in my top 10. That is better than 2-8, and it is better than 1-6. It's still negative. However, he does also have a positive record for the players outside of the top 25. AJ and Jory's are very close. Very close. I think Jory's was, what was he, 11? He was 10 and 11. And AJ is 10 and 12. But the other thing to note is look at Jory's tournament record, 6 and 6. Look at AJ's tournament record, 8 and 5. I don't just look at the, you know, how good players are doing versus the top 10. I also care more about tournament record than show match record. So Jory's has better show match record than AJ. AJ has better tournament record. I think tournaments are the most important thing. That's what edged it. That's another thing that I think made me put AJ above Jory's right now. Yeah, he's been doing pretty good in tournaments. He's been getting pretty consistently deep. He finished top 2. Well, he finished second in my NA1 tournament. I think he finished top 4 in Fears once. You know, he's getting consistently deep in all these tournaments. Okay. This is a very interesting one. I think this might be a controversial one for number 7. Because, again, I didn't think I was going to put this guy this high, actually. I thought he would be one of the guys I was going to have just in or maybe just out of top 10 when I was like thinking of this list in my head. It's only when I looked at the numbers and I realized that actually the records are kind of bad for some of these other guys in the top 10. Made me think, well, you know what? Maybe I should value the consistency of this guy. He just seems to be just chugging along. He's not been the most active, but he still seems to be around about where he was, you know, for the longest time now. And it is Khaled. He's gone 4 and 4. His record is completely even, so slightly better overall record than Jory's and AJ there. Yeah, he's not lost. He's not lost to anyone. He's only played only beaten 2 players, but he's not lost to anyone outside the top 25 in the past 6 months. Go a bit further back than that, he has. But I had him around about, I think I had him like just a bit lower than this last time we did this. Since then, funnily enough, he's actually beaten Jarius and AJ. So the 2 wins that Khaled has there against my top 10 are wins of the guys I have right behind Khaled. Now I didn't specifically use head to head in almost any case in this list, but I thought that was just kind of an interesting thing to mention. Khaled, he beat Jarius and AJ. I think those 4 losses are mostly, who are they against again? I can't remember off the top of my head. TRK, he lost 3-2. He lost to Jack, and he's lost to Moxie and Rawas. So yeah, tip top players that he's losing to. Everybody else he's beating. In fact, I think in the past 6 months, he just seems to be this player. He's just the same every time. He's just always there. He's like the gatekeeper of like the best these days. Remember when I was down, AJ says, I remember when I was down 2-0 versus Cal, then I scored back-to-back 0-second game winners the first game 5, then I threw. I wasn't on that series. I remember that as well. That was crazy hype. That series that AJ and Khaled played at Worlds was unbelievable. I'd recommend that you go watch it if you haven't already. I was casting some 1v1s while I was at the RLCS World Championship. End of the day, I just walked around the players' practice rooms and asked who wants to play a one show match, and yeah, we got AJ versus Khaled. We also had their teammates FairJame and TRK play. Both very, very good series, and a bunch of other ones as well. But okay. Was that controversial? Is that a controversial pick? I thought you guys would be like, what? How is Khaled ahead of all these players like FairJame, AJ, and Jarius? I think if I didn't use stats, you guys would be like, whoa, what's going on here? But because the numbers are pretty clear, it does. Well, I mean, that's why I switched it around a little bit. Okay, my top 6 is clear. Top 6, I think, when I made this list was a good bit above everybody else. They were clear, and that will be visible numerically once we get started in the top 6 here. So if you've been remembering, if you've been paying attention, let's do a quick recap here just so you guys can see the overall records. We had Oski with a 1 and 2 overall record. We had Zapatos with a 3 and 9 overall record. Remember that these are all records against other players in my top 25 only. No one outside of the top 25, only against players inside the top 25. Just going to go through them all very quickly so you can see that everybody's pretty much around even, slightly negative, or in some cases very negative. We've not seen anyone positive yet, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. We've seen an even one there. I think Atto's even. That's a 2-2. It should be yellow, but it's actually red. So whoopsie on the graphic on that one. But yeah, more reds. We got Evo Justa barely under. Razebull 1 over. So shout out to Razebull. We got Toxic 1 under. We got Lion Blaze 1 under. We've got Raziers 1 over. So good job, Raziers. KV1 2 under. We got First Killer 3 under. We got Jarius 1 under. We've got AJ 2 under. And we got Khaled even. Now, if you guys realize that everyone that we just saw, bar 2 players, were negative or they were either even, a little bit negative, or way negative. Now that means that some of these guys in my list have been collecting a lot of wins against everybody else. And yeah, it's the top 6. Starting with Moxie at number 6. He is 12 and 8 overall. He has a positive win rate against the top 25. The players ranked 11 to 15th. He has a positive win rate against the top 10. Positive tournament record. And a positive show match record. So why is he number 6, you ask? Why is Moxie at number 6? Why, with all these insane numbers, is he not higher? Well, I want to draw your attention to one in particular. And it's the 5 and 4 record against the top 25. He's 5 and 4 against the top 25. Moxie, compared to the other guys in my top 6, is not as consistently beating everybody else recently. He's not as consistently beating everybody else. That's one thing I want you to remember. Just his record versus everybody ranked 11th to 25th is 5-4. He's actually he's only 1 over even against players ranked 11th to 25th. So he doesn't do as well against the lower rated players, even though he does better against top 10 players than top 25 players. What's going on there? So remember that one as we go through the rest of these. Number 5, I've got TRK. And I think TRK was the best 1v1 player probably around about 6 months ago. 5 months ago, he's the best. But he's not been that active. He's undefeated against players outside the top 25. He's 4-2 against my top 10. And he is, at least he didn't play any tournaments. But yeah, he's 3-1 in best of ones, 3-1 in show matches. So he's winning when he plays, but he doesn't play much. That's why I've ranked him down, because he's not as active. Hasn't played any of the recent tournaments, so I had to drop him down a bit. But I still put him above Moxie because Moxie is way less consistent against the lower rated players. Way less consistent. Moxie can beat anyone. He could probably sweep anyone. But against the lower rated players, for some reason he struggles to deal with them as easily as the rest of my the top of my list here. The rest of the green spectrum of my list. Continuing on the green, I've flipped Jan above TRK because Jan has been a little bit more active. I had them pretty close. I had TRK like slightly better than Jan, maybe about 5 or 6 months ago. Jan's been more active than TRK. He's 6-0 against players outside the top 25. He's 3-2 against players in my top 10. Or he's 6-0 against players in that 11th to 25th range. And his overall record is 9-2. So percentage-wise, his record's insane. But that's not to say, just because he's 6-0, you guys might be thinking, whoa, Johnny, Jan's just farmed a bunch of players outside the top 10 to make his record look good. But, you know, he's only 3-2 apart from that. Who's he beating? Well, he's lost to Jack at the World Championship. I had a show match, and he lost to Jack. He swept KV1, who I had 11th, 4-0. I had KV1 ranked 11th, remember? He swept him. Since losing to Jack at the World Championship in my stream, he beat Jack 4-1 on Fear stream. And then, of course, he's got those famous best of ones that he's beaten. Him and TRK were just the best ones players in that best of one kind of era. They were just ridiculous. They were just farming, absolutely farming everybody during the best of one era. He beat Ruas, by the way, in that one game that they played, as well as Race Bull CRR. And he went even with TRK, the only player with an even record against TRK. Nobody's beaten TRK. Nobody's positive against TRK in the best of one format. Jan has at least gone even with him. But yeah, Jan's just very consistent, and he's a little bit more active than TRK, so I flipped him above TRK because I rate activity. But both of them have slipped down. They were possibly 1 and 2. They were definitely both top 3 last time I did this, I would say. Or actually, no. Last time I did this was right before Gamers 8. So, let's say right after Gamers 8. Yeah, Jan and TRK would have both been top 3 for sure. So they've slipped a little bit due to inactivity. But that's because the top 3 are just absolute powerhouses. Are you ready to see who's been farming win-loss against the rest of my top 25? Let's see who they are. Who are the culprits? Number 3, apparently Jack. Overall record 17-8. 17-8. Look at it. Look at his record against the players outside the top 25. 9-1. Remember I said that Moxie's record against the players outside the top 10 was a lot worse than the other guys? Jack's 9-1 against the players that Moxie is 5-4 against. Or I think it was 5-4. Maybe it was 4-3. Something like that. I think 5-4. I'm going to check actually because I'm very curious to see. Yeah, Moxie was 5-4. Against that same like pool of players, Jack is 9-1. He is just he is Mr. Consistent. And he is positive against my top 10, 8-7. That was a lot better than 8-7 right before the very last tournament that he played on my channel, where he lost to Jarius, Ruas, and Daniel. All 3 of them. He would have been 8-4 before that happened. So yeah, if he had beaten them, maybe he'd be higher in this list, but he didn't. That's why he's number 3. Oh, we've got ads, so we're gonna leave it on Jack for a while. They're trolling? No, I don't think they're trolling. I think they definitely did get ads. I didn't press the ad button. Come on, I didn't press the button. Do you want me to prove it to you? I'll press it now. I'll prove it. I'll prove that I didn't press the button by pressing it right now. I'm not actually going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I don't need to prove that to anyone. The button's lovely and green right now. It's pressable. I'm telling you. I'm not going to do it. So, okay, where were we? Yeah, I was explaining that, yeah, if Jack had, you know, done better in the very recent tournament the last tournament I ran between Jack, Jorias, Daniel, and a Roas, then he might have been able to get the top spot, or maybe even top 2, but he lost all 3, and that hindered his ability to be any higher than this. But yeah, super active. Has anyone had 25 matches played before now? I don't think so. I mean, AJ had 22. Jack has 25. I think he's the most active player so far. And yeah, you got reward activities. Very Mr. Consistent. He just gets the job done. But yeah, there's you know, I said that there was a clear top 6. I think due to my recent tournament, well, all the recent tournaments, but most importantly, the fact that Jack got 0-3'd, he lost to everybody in my most recent one. Yeah, it was not possible to put him any higher than 3rd. But yeah, who would you guys have number 1 and 2? Who would you guys have number 1 and 2? Did I include D7 or else tournaments going on right now? No. 2 last minute. I can't calculate a tournament that's ongoing for this. So yeah, you all know who the top 2 are. You all know who the top 2 are. It's pretty obvious, and I think everybody can agree that they are the top 2 at the moment. Make a poll. That's a good idea. Let's see. We're very late at night right now, so I think I know which way this one is gonna go. Let's just make a poll and see. You all know who they are. This isn't a spoiler. If it's a spoiler, I'm sorry, but everybody knows. Everybody knows the top 2 right now. You guys can vote who you think is number 1. Let's see. It's very close, actually. I didn't think it would be close at like 3 in the morning EU time, which is 5 in the morning in the Middle East. I think this would probably, if it's this close right now, I think it would be probably a win for Roas during the day. Actually, maybe not. Maybe Mina is not asleep right now because they have terrible sleep schedules as well. It's very close, but it looks like Daniel's winning. Daniel takes it 52% of chat saying Daniel and 48% saying Roas. So before I reveal my number 2 and number 1, I did hear that Fear recently did his didn't he do a top 3 video? And his top 3 was Yan 3rd, Roas 2nd, Daniel 1st, right? I think that's what it was. So not too far off. I mean, I had Yan 4, so we're pretty close on that. And you know, I've either got the same top 2 or reverse, so extremely close, extremely similar. But yeah, after like researching this, I can't agree with Fear. I've got Daniel number 2. I can't agree with him because the numbers are just too stacked in Roas's favor. They are. They're just too stacked. We'll look at Daniel's numbers first, and we'll look at Roas, and you guys can decide. But yeah, in the past 6 months, Daniel has gone. Well, let's just start at the top. Show matches. He's 3-3. Roas, my number 1, is 5-2. So Roas has been better in show matches in the past 6 months. Tournament record: Roas is 10-1. 10-1 in recent tournaments in the last 6 months. Daniel's 9-2. So Roas just beats him on that one as well. Now here's Daniel's win. He has the better best of 1 record. Daniel is 3-1 in best of 1s. Roas is 1-1. Those 1v1s that Daniel has against, or the wins he has to have the win in that stat category, are against Jorias at the World Championship show matches, and also against AJ, sorry AJ, at Gamers8. And then he also won once and lost once against Razebull. Meanwhile, Ruas has a win on First Killer and a loss to Yan. So yeah, it's mostly Gamers8. That's what it's there for. I wanted to separate Gamers8 because it's a super different thing. So yeah, Daniel does have a better record when you take Gamers8 into account. He beat Razebull, AJ, and then lost to, actually he beat Razebull and lost to Razebull in the qualifier same day. They both went 1-1. Then he beat AJ at the event, and he also beat Jory's the Worlds in a show match. So yeah, Daniel is the better best of 1 record. But record versus the top 10, Ruas is 9-4. Actually the exact same ratio here, so this is a tie. Daniel's 8-3, so they're both plus 5 on that one. And then the record outside of the top 10 is where Ruas takes a pretty big win. Daniel has 4 losses against players outside of the top 10. Ruas has none. In the past 6 months, no one outside of the top 10 has beaten him, giving him an overall record of 16-4. Compared to, I just realized I miscalculated Daniel's 15-7. That should be a 7. I don't know why it says 6, because 4 plus 3 is definitely not 6. But yeah, Ruas just has better results than anyone. His results are undeniable. He's got the best tournament record. He's got the best overall win percentage. He's got the best record. He's undefeated outside the top 25. He's got the biggest equal ratio of wins to losses inside of the top 10, equal with Daniel. The only thing that Daniel has better than him is the best of 1s. That's it. So I cannot say with certainty that anyone is the best 1s player in the world except Ruas. And that's why I think he's the best in the world. That's why. Dandroid is 6-0. Yeah, now if Dandroid were a separate entity, we might have to do some recalculating here, because that'll put Daniel way down. But Dandroid obviously would be would be on the list as a unique player. So that would remove number 25 from the list. Kick him out.